Tonight, a startling incident involving reality TV star Porsha Williams is raising national attention, prompting both confusion and concern as new details continue to emerge. What began as an ordinary Delta Airlines flight escalated into a scene that left passengers stunned, and now the FBI is involved. On November 16th, Porsha Williams was reportedly escorted off the aircraft by law enforcement, moments after the plane landed in Atlanta. Witnesses describe seeing her walk calmly alongside an officer, engaging in a brief but serious conversation before exiting the gate. While rumors immediately spread online, officials have confirmed only one fact so far. Something significant occurred mid-flight, and investigators are working quickly to determine whether federal charges may apply. As the story unfolds, many are wondering what could have led to such a dramatic turn of events involving one of reality television's most recognizable figures. According to statements released to the media, the FBI's Atlanta division confirmed it is reviewing the situation and assessing whether any federal laws were violated during the incident. A spokesperson acknowledged that the event allegedly involved Porsha Williams and at least one other individual, but provided no further clarification. Delta Airlines issued its own brief response, confirming that 2 passengers were involved in the disturbance and that the flight proceeded and landed without delays. However, the airline has not disclosed the cause, nature, or severity of the situation, leaving the public with more questions than answers. For now, the mystery remains at the center of growing speculation. With no official charges filed and no detailed reports available, investigators are carefully piecing together the moments that unfolded on board before police intervention became necessary. The timing of the incident adds an unexpected twist to Williams' recent public appearances. Just days earlier, the reality star was a featured personality at BravoCon in Las Vegas, where she interacted with fans and participated in panel discussions without any indication of personal turmoil. Her presence was described as upbeat and confident, making the sudden news of an in-flight confrontation even more surprising. Beyond her professional engagements, Williams has also spoken recently about her personal life, sharing at CultureCon in Brooklyn that she's currently talking to 2 people and navigating the early stages of dating, following her highly publicized divorce earlier this year. With her name already circulating in entertainment headlines, the Delta incident has amplified attention dramatically, shifting the spotlight from her personal comeback to a federal inquiry that remains cloaked in uncertainty. As investigators work to understand what transpired, analysts note how situations involving public figures often become magnified, with incomplete information fueling speculation long before facts are confirmed. In this case, officials have remained notably cautious, emphasizing that the review is ongoing and that no conclusions have been reached. This careful approach suggests the incident may hinge on details not yet made public, whether it involved a passenger dispute, a safety concern, or a misunderstanding requiring law enforcement intervention. What is clear is that the combination of airline protocol, passenger behavior, and federal guidelines often creates a complex landscape where even minor disruptions can escalate quickly under certain circumstances. As more information emerges, the question remains, will this event fade as a brief moment of turbulence, or will it evolve into something far more serious? What stands out in the aftermath is Delta Airlines' measured but deliberate confirmation that 2 passengers were involved, indicating this was not a single-person disturbance, but an interaction significant enough to draw official attention. Aviation experts note that when police escort a passenger off a flight, it typically signals that crew members observed behavior violating federal safety guidelines. Such incidents can include anything from non-compliance with instructions to interpersonal disputes or disruptions affecting the cabin environment. However, without public details, it is impossible to determine whether this situation was procedural, precautionary, or something more serious. For now, the focus remains on the FBI's assessment as federal jurisdiction applies to conduct that occurs on board aircraft. With Williams's public profile, every detail becomes magnified, and officials appear to be proceeding cautiously to avoid misinterpretation before the facts are fully established. Meanwhile, reactions online have ranged from concern to speculation, as fans and critics alike attempt to piece together what might have triggered the law enforcement response. Social media platforms have filled with discussions questioning whether the incident stemmed from a misunderstanding, a conflict with another passenger, or a violation of airline protocol. Yet, many observers also point out that public figures often face harsher scrutiny, where even minor incidents are amplified into national stories. For Porsha Williams, whose fame grew through years on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, heightened visibility has always come with intensified public examination. Analysts caution that until official statements are released, assumptions have the potential to distort the narrative. They emphasize that early reports should be viewed as preliminary, especially when federal investigators are still determining the relevance and seriousness of the event. Beyond the immediate questions of what occurred, this incident highlights the broader issue of how airlines and authorities handle in-flight disturbances in an era of increased passenger tensions. Since the pandemic, aviation crews have reported rising instances of conflict, which has led to stricter enforcement of regulations and quicker responses from authorities. In cases where officers meet the aircraft at the gate, the decision is typically based on maintaining safety and preventing escalation. The involvement of the FBI, however, signals that investigators are considering whether the situation meets federal thresholds, even if only as a precaution. As Williams continues to remain silent publicly, the lack of comment from both Delta and the FBI underscores how carefully agencies approach high-visibility cases, ensuring that any findings are rooted in verified evidence rather than speculation or public pressure. At the same time, the incident has unfolded during a period of personal transition for Williams. Following her finalized divorce earlier this year, she has openly shared that she is beginning to date again and exploring new chapters in her life. Appearances at major fan events like BravoCon reaffirmed her return to the spotlight, suggesting a renewed energy and momentum in her career. This sudden interruption, public, unexpected, and now federally examined, creates a sharp contrast to the optimism she recently displayed. Entertainment analysts note that such moments can temporarily overshadow ongoing professional progress, though they rarely define a public figure's long-term trajectory. Still, with media attention intensifying around the uncertainty of the situation, the incident has become another twist in Williams's continually evolving public narrative. For now, the future of this story depends entirely on what investigators determine in the days ahead. If no federal wrongdoing is identified, the incident may ultimately be classified as a brief disruption, an uncomfortable but uneventful moment in an otherwise routine flight. However, if the review uncovers details that warrant additional action, it could open the door to further legal or procedural developments. Until that clarity arrives, the public waits for definitive statements from both Delta Airlines and the FBI. What remains certain is that high-profile incidents on board commercial flights rarely go unnoticed, and with Porsha Williams at the center, every update will be closely watched. Whether this episode becomes a footnote in her story or a defining headline depends entirely on the answers still to come.